Welcome to this wonderful session, and today we will have an amazing program or session which is going to be facilitated by Yoftahe, Manyazewal. I believe all of you know him, but for the sake of the program, I have to say something about him. So Yoftahe Manyazewal, or Happy, is a self-engineer, and he has a degree in architecture in Makale University, and he is certified yoga instructor and trainer as well. He is a founder and a student in Khul Holistic Development Center. I know only Yoftahe who is a founder and a student. So today he is going to talk about fasting, water fasting. I'm honest, I don't know about these things, but I believe we will discover together. So please, all of you, welcome him with a warm applause. Thank you.
Already welcome. Great. Thank you. ሙሉ ስሜን ከሰማሁት ቆይቻለሁና እኔም እያልኩ ነበረ። Hi everyone, happy evening. እንዴት ናችሁ? Good. First timer ዛሬ? First time to the center? Anyone here? Okay. Couple of hands. Wow. Good. Welcome again, and double welcome. So today's session will be the 67th session of Khul Academy. So more than a year and continuing, which is something of a success that I want to thank the team behind in baking and preparing these programs. And once in a while, I feel lucky to pop in the session and then share something on the way learn. So today I'll be guiding the session happily. We'll experience, we'll explore, we'll share insights about this powerful science of fasting. So before I go into the session, so I've been through different activities through the day. Arala bekan ust nota senord raze minalenya ler ndababa tasfay na ልጅ ያለን በባ tasfay ስናዳምጥ በጋራ በሸንተረሮት ቸውርጄ ይላሉና somehow that is happening in many of us this day, like observing the traffic jam, activities, work. So there is a lot to go up and down. So just a moment of detachment, a moment of disconnection from our day. We'll just do a small activity, not physically but mentally. So I invite you to just be in any comfortable pose. With the spine straight, shoulders relaxed, akarkarachinin, kashachinin. You can get on this practice with your eyes closed or with your eyes opened, whichever way you feel, but the science says about 80% of what we communicate to the environment around us is through the eyes. So if you close your eyes, it means 80% distraction, at least from the side, is handled. So so you can gently close your eyes. Every time when you do any internal processes where you need to close your eyes, make sure your eyes are not squeezed. So which makes it another stress, another engagement, another load. So it's like dropping a bed sheet. ጣል የምናረገው ነገር አለ ሶ አያናችንን ክዳ አያናችን ላይ ጣል ነው የምናረገው ቀለል ብለን we just take a full breath in and out ረጅም ትንፋሽ ሳብ ለቅ እናረጋለን ባፍንጫችን another breath and one more deep breath ረጅም ትንፋሽ and we'll time to reflect on our day, just to highlight our day as if we're watching a movie of our day. So let's rewind back to the very morning on our bed. ዛሬ ጧት ልክ አልጋችን ላይ ከእንቅልፋችን እንደነቃን የነበረው ጊዜ ላይ ወደ ኋላ እንወስደው ጊዜውን. So right when you woke up, what do you remember? What is the first thought? የመጀመሪያው ሐሳባችን ምን እንደነበር ለማስታወስ እንሞክር. In the first couple of thoughts, የመጀመሪያ የተወሰኑ ሐሳቦች, and then going off bed, person you met መጀመሪያ ያገኘነው ሰው ዛሬ the first activities you did, maybe going to the bathroom, maybe brushing your teeth. የተወሰኑ ተግባራቶቻችንን ማስታወስ. And just go through the morning. The morning activities could be work, taxi, traffic jam, conversations. የተወሰኑ የጠዋት ክፍለ ጊዜ እንቅስቃሴዎቻችንን ለማስታወስ እንሞክር. So when you remember this, don't engage in the process or don't judge them or label them. You're just a third person. You're watching a movie of your day. So you're not a director. You're just an audience. So going through the morning, going to the late morning. Also take time in between to reflect on how you are feeling. So physically maybe you're doing stuff, moving here and there, but how you're feeling. Observe the weather within yourself. ውስጣዊ አየር ሁኔታችን ምን ይመስል ነበረ? Maybe someone making us angry or happy or this or that. Again, without labeling or judging. Then go to the midday, እኩለ ቀን አካባቢ. If you had lunch or maybe if you have skipped lunch, ምሳ ሰዓት አካባቢ የነበርንበት ጊዜ የነበርንበት ሁኔታን ማስታወስ. And passing to the afternoon, ከሰዓት በኋላ. Again, activities, work, conversation, and emotions as well. ምን አይነት ስሜቶች ነበሩ? Just highlight them. You just learn and pass from your day. And going towards the late afternoon, ከሰዓት በኋላ እየተገባደደ. Maybe you had a thought to come to Khul, or maybe you have reserved. So you remembered and you're taking your way to Khul, to the center. ወደዚህ ማዕከል ስንመጣ maybe taxi walk እያደረግን arriving to this building, taking the stairs or maybe the elevator, በደረጃው ወይ በሊፍት በመጣንበት እያስታወስን. So ask yourself, what were you thinking when you were taking the stairs or when you were in the elevator? Were you talking? Were you feeling something? Were you excited if it was maybe the first day? Were you curious what these guys do in this center? And you have arrived into this big hall where some construction is happening, some gypsum around. If maybe it was your first time, you may ask, is this a center to learn or to do some construction? Whatever thoughts that came to mind. And maybe you took part in the first activity, discussion, listening, talking. And then you got into the circle, sitting down on a mat. Now meet this moment with the next breath. አሁን የምንተነፍሳትን አየር ማስተዋል. So you're not anymore in the past. You are right here, right now. And take a full breath, letting yourself know that you are in this moment. Fully exhale. And then rub your hands together. እጆቻችንን ማተሻሸት. And place your hands on your face, on your eyes. ፊታችን ላይ አይናችን ላይ ማድረግ እጃችንን. And you may gently open your eyes inside your hands. ከውስጥ አይናችንን እየገለጥን ጣቶቻችንን እየከፈትን ፊታችን. Massage your head. Relax your blood vessels around your head, your neck. And give yourself a stretch. A bit of stretch to the side. Very good. Great. Now I can say happy morning. Wonderful. So that was a minute journey of our day. Today's session very much relates with what we did earlier. It was a break off. It was a space between us and the day, between us and our activities, between us and our body, mind. But the session today focuses on this dimension in a multi-level. So we're going to have layers of space. So ቀናችንን ለማስተዋል ፈንጠር ማለት አለብን አይደል? ወይም ደግሞ እንቅስቃሴዎችን ለማየት ከፍ ስንል ከ9ኛ ፎቅ መሬቱን ስናየው መንገዱን ስናየውና ታች ሆነን ስንጨናነቅ ትራፊክ ውስጥ it's different, right? So there is a space that makes things perceived differently. So today's session about fasting, it is a technology that we've been running there ancient times, so it was thousands of years, not someone started it in this age, but the significance of fasting is more important than never before. ምናልባትም በሰው ልጅ አኗኗር ዘዬ ውስጥ I personally believe fasting is of high importance on our age than ever time before, because as a civilization or maybe as a species of this time, our species or our generation is addicted more than any other generation before. So when I say addiction, don't think of stuffs to smoke, chew or stuff, but whatever we engage this mechanism with, if that thing is happening beyond our control, that is one way or the other, it's an addiction. Or another way of seeing it is, whatever we call addiction is a distraction. A distraction from whatever we're doing. It's iterate የሚያደርግ ከሆነ ከምንሰራው ተለምዶ እንቅስቃሴ በጣም ያደርገን ከሆነ ወይም ደግሞ ከኛ እንቅስቃሴ አስተውሎ ውስጥ ውጪ የሚያወጣን ከሆነ any distraction is partly an addiction. It creates a similar pattern in our brain to create that addictive pattern. In the same way, if we speak of the internet, which is one of the most powerful happenings on our age, it is giving us thousands of stimuli than ever before, where our brains have not evolved to handle. Especially when you come to the young teenage boys and girls who are taken away from whatever they do, family, work, school, they are fully engrossed in their phone. That is maybe the highest level of addiction that we can sense. So I'm just giving different aspects of it. But what is fasting? So fasting maybe is something that we have done maybe, or something we know about. Fundamentally it is an extended period of disconnection with some stimuli. Mostly, as we know, food is one thing, but anything that we are engaged on, if we create disconnection and observe what is happening, you're basically fasting. ከነበረን እንቅስቃሴ ትንሽ space መፍጠር ከቻለ, that was partly fasting. Earlier we took a journey through our day. We were fasting, by the way. So we're not having a lot of thoughts here and there. We're basically observing. So whenever you observe, you somehow have created an environment to fast at the level of the mind, at the level of thought, awareness. But we can take fasting in multi-layers, as I've said earlier in the session. So that will be one thing that we'll explore. So I will start the session with a quote. Anyone who knows Mark Twain? A writer? One of the personalities that I admire in the literature words and in their philosophy about life. So I'll just share one of his quotes, somehow related with fasting. So Mark Twain said, "A little starvation can really do more for the average sick man than can the best medicines and the best doctors do." A little starvation. So he basically approached it from at least the cross aspect of food, but I feel this goes to any area of our life. የትኛውም ሶልቭ ማድረግ እንፈልጋቸው ኢሹዎች ህይወታችን ላይ if you create a space, you will be there to even see what is going wrong. Or as Einstein said, you can now solve a problem with the mind that you have created it. ወይም ደግሞ ፐርሲቭ ባደረገው ፕሮብለሙን አምሮ ችግሩን ለመፍታት ትንሽ ቅርብ ላንሆን እንችላለን. So fasting somehow evolves or moves around in this dimension. So today we basically are going to have a one-on-one, as always we do at Khul Academy. Khul Academy basically focus on creating that spark, that insight, that inspiration about some exploration of life. So as fasting, basically I approach fasting as a technology. Why I say it's a technology is actually most of what we do at Khul, we label them as technologies. Maybe some of you may be curious about those. Because be it yoga, meditation, breathing, fasting, hugging, laughing, these are all tools, technologies. One fundamental truth about technology is it doesn't matter who the person is using it. If the person knows how to implement it, it works. A phone is a technology. It doesn't matter who I am. If I know how to press the gadget and function it well, it works. The same thing with fasting, yoga, meditation, breathing, writing, whatever these things that we call. So they are technologies. One thing that differs them is these technologies are internal technologies. So these gadgets, the phone, the car, the light, they are external technologies, making things more ambient, more beautiful, more easy, more effective, more at ease. But these technologies that we refer here mostly at Khul, they are internal technologies. ውስጣዊ ቴክኖሎጂዎች ናቸው። አተነፋፈስ ስርዓትን ስናጠና, there's a powerful technology that we really can deep into. Fasting is one, so I start with saying we're going to explore a technology that have been there thousands of years, but now we're going to try to shine a light on it, so that we can integrate it to our daily engagements ማለት ነው. So partly what I start with is a bit of glints about types of fasting. So fasting ስንል ጾም, basically there are so many types of fasting specific even to food. So a couple of them are, one is water fasting, maybe part of which we'll explore a little more today. Another fasting is intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting ማለት you open up a window in the 24 hours where you can eat. For example, if you say 8 hours window, you can eat only in those 8 hours. The other 16 hours you don't eat. So this is intermittent fasting, so alaf yala, which has its own many benefits. Another type of fasting is juice fasting. I personally don't really feel juice fasting is a fasting because most of the juices that we take are fruits. Fruits are packed with sugars. So if you're consuming a sugar, you're informing your system that there is an energy coming. So it doesn't go to the fasting mode often. So it can be a cleansing process, it can be a reboosting process, but specific to the fasting, juice fasting may not really be an ideal fasting tool or fasting technology. Another is eating once a day, which can be integrated to lifestyle. I know many friends who have a pattern of eating only once a day, who have really transcended many areas of their life with a lot of energy to use, with a lot of energy at the level of the mind as well. So that's one aspect. Another is digital fasting, which I highly recommend to anyone in the room, and which is one of the productive ways to restart life itself. So one aspect of fasting is a space, as I've said earlier, and one aspect of fasting is a restart. So think of your phone when it's packed with a lot of data. ብዙ ቪዲዮ ሲበዛበት ብዙ ፋይል ስናጨናንቀው the phone starts to get a bit busy, right? You need to either restart or close some of the applications and all. The same thing with your PC. ኮምፒውተራችን ስራ ሲበዛበት it needs us to press refresh now and then. The same thing is done with our fasting process. So there are different types of fasting, but at the fundamental level, the restart or the recharge or the reconnection is one. So personally, I approach technologies in different aspects: the physical, the mental, the emotional, and maybe related to fasting will also add the spiritual dimension. So በአራቱም ሰው የሚያሰኙንን ክፍሎች ፋስቲንግ አፌክት ያደርጋል። ሶ ሰውነታችንን አፌክት ያደርጋል፣ አእምሮአችንን፣ ስሜታችንን፣ መንፈሳችንን። ሶ በየዘርፉ there is a powerful scientific evidence and scientific research that has been there where fasting has been shown to really affect and sometimes to even recharge, rejuvenate, reignite these dimensions. So I'll just run through the four in a short benefit manner. So one aspect of fasting at the physical level is this could be something more interesting for people who work out, who go to the gym often, who want to build weight, physical mass, who maybe want to compete in heavyweight competitions or body mass activities. So physical level of fasting boosts human growth muscle up to 5 times. So normally our body produces growth muscle, growth hormones, but mostly when there is a buffer that happens with what we do in our daily engagement, especially if there is a lot of stress, the body may not produce enough growth hormones. Growth hormone is one of the powerful hormones that we really need in the system for rejuvenation, for our immunity, for our recharging of the mechanism, for our detoxing, for our cleansing, a lot of benefits, even for building muscle and then burning fat. So it's one of the easiest ways to even burn fat is to have more growth hormones. So a lot of people out there can use growth hormones which are synthetic, artificial growth hormones, but fasting is one of the natural ways which can really boost human growth hormone up to 5 times than the natural production methodologies. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another is specific to health. There has been a lot of research out there which have shown fasting can really help in the level of cancer even. So there are different studies that showcased people have cured their cancer, even some of 2nd level, 4th level, 5th level cancers with just only fasting. One aspect of this is cancer basically is the reproduction of cells out of the control of the system. earlier, when our thought is here and there without us controlling it, the thought is out there. The same thing at the body level, when cells are reproducing without our system organizing them, that is what we call cancer in one way. So if you basically fast, the system starts to go deeper into the system to re-energize as well as to reiterate. So at this time, part of those cells which die out of the hunger or the starvation are priority-wise the cancer cells. So you can finish and wipe out your cancer cells by just fasting. Another thing that relates with this is something called autophagy. It's a scientific name of it. What autophagy means is, anybody have played a game called Pac-Man? Lijonachu? That was eating stuff in your video game or handy game. So Pac-Man is something that relates with this science that I'm going to share with you. So these autophagies, there are cells in our system which, they're like maybe army cells, which are deployed in times where we are in the fasting zone or fasting mode. So most of the time the body is eating a lot, these cells are asleep. So because there is food, there's energy, they are okay. They're not given time to cleanse the system. But whenever we're fasting, these cells will wake up and then start to go around in our system to eat whatever is not needed in the system. This includes viruses, bacteria, or anything unwanted, or waste materials. So they eat them out. So one experience is, earlier I missed to tell you, so I explore fasting. I've done 24 hours first, then 40 hours, then 72 hours recently. So one thing that I got insight from this was, so first day when you fast, the body is not getting food and stuff. So after maybe couple of hours, maybe after a day, your urine gets to become more light. ምግብ ከሌለ ሽንታችን ነጣ ይላል አይደል? ምክንያቱም ተፈጭቶ የሚቆሽሽና የሚጓጋ ነገር የለም. So there is not much toxin to move out of your system, so your urine gets more like water. But on the second and on the third day, my urine got darker and yellowish. I was like, what? I'm not eating it stuff, and then why is it getting dirty? So I just explored a lot, and I even studied a couple of fasting sciences there, and what I found was, when there is no food in the system and when the body knows you're not going to give him food, that's why juice fasting, you're giving it sugar, so it's not going to the fasting mode. But if it knows after maybe 40 or so hours, it goes to the deeper level of like scratching the walls of your stomach. የገባ ጨጓራችን አንጀታችን ላይ ያሉ ማያስፈልጉ ቆሻሻዎችን መፈንቀል ይጀምራል ማለት ነው. So those are like dirties that have been there maybe for months or maybe years. It's the house is not clean. So when fasting starts, the body starts to go deep and then chisels around all the dirt. So that's what comes through the urine. So ጽዳት ይጀምራል ማለት ነው. That's one aspect of autophagy, where the body goes to a higher level of cleansing process. So fasting at the level of the body has got so many of them, just putting some highlights from the different aspects. So physically those, obviously weight loss is one aspect of fasting. So whenever there is no food in the system, the body starts to dig in to use the different parts of your body to energy. So you can lose weight as one aspect. And still is another aspect of it is skin. So mostly our skin, especially if you don't have a lot of cleansing process, those dirts come somehow on the surface of our skin. So ቆዳችን ላይ ነው ብዙ የሚገለጠው. Even lots of skin diseases at one aspect happen from internal unwanted waste materials. So whenever someone fasts, those cleansing process come also to the surface of the skin. Even different skin diseases can be cured with just fasting alone, as the body cleanses the skin level dermis and epidermis. So yeah, I've just mentioned few. Let me get to the mental part, which may be something that makes us more curious. On this part, I will share a small scientific fact. So they were studying a lot of research. So our civilization or our generation have been screwed with somehow stress, this thing called stress. About 80% of what we call disease is happening because of a human being stressed out. So be it cancer, diabetes, blood pressure, all these things are sourced from inability for this system to function easily. So basically disease means being away from ease. Ease like ምቾት ላይ ቅለት ላይ ካልሆነን disease happen ያደርጋል. Disease, if the very word is saying that, you are diseased. You are far away from ease. ከምቾት ከቅለት አመልጠናል. So this happens, stress is one source of it. So when there is a lot of stress, the body becomes in its poor function of activity. So one aspect of it is maybe if we fast rewind back in our times where humanity was maybe hunting and gathering, there are two stimuli at any given time. One stimuli is termed growth stimuli, another is protection stimuli. So let me give you a scenario. So if someone is going out there to hunt, so in between. So if that's one aspect. So from these two stimuli, which one do you think is given much importance? Or the product, the growth stimuli is getting maybe some then I grow because I sustain the system. That's the growth stimuli. But there is the hyena or the tiger which is looking forward to eat me. So that's the protection stimuli. So either I should protect, if not, game is over. So from these two stimuli, which one is given more importance? Obviously the protection, because if I don't eat today, I can stay for a bit. One day, 2 days, I will be starving, fasting, processing and all. But if today I'm eaten, it's game over. So our brains evolved in a way giving much more importance to negative stimuli. That's why a lot of news is sold which is negative. If you tune into BBC, CNN, a lot of news is bombing, killing or whatever. Because those are the news that sell a lot. Because our prefrontal cortex, or the front part of our brain, basically looks for negative stimuli because that is more important than the other things. In the same way, for us, our protection stimuli is not the hyena or the tiger, because in the city, Addis Ababa is Gnabrello, or any of these animals which are going to hunt us. So what are the things that we are protecting ourselves from? Is our deadlines, our stresses, our work, our traffic jam. All these things are things that are stressing us a lot. And the body responds in the same way. It responds in the same way for the tiger as well as for the stress. Because at the level of growth, your internal organs are the one which work. So immunity system, digestion is active, your blood circulation, cardiovascular system, they are all in their peak. But whenever there is a tiger, you don't need digestion at that moment. You don't need immunity system. You need to run. Right? You need bone and muscle. So at this time, what the body does is it shuts down immunity and circulation, all these internal functions, because bone and muscle is needed now. The same thing is happening now. When I'm stressed, my breathing gets shallow. I don't breathe from the belly, but from the heart, from the chest. My stress picks up, digestion goes low. That's why, but I'm stressed kilo michambrut. Because whenever you are in stress mode, digestion is poor, because when you are stressed, you're not activating the internal function. When people are stressed, they fall sick easy, because when someone is stressed, the immunity system is almost very low. You making sense? You getting the point? So these are the two stimuli that really come in the play. So stress is one aspect. So when someone fasts, or what food does in our system when you really binge a lot of food is, it is like a buffer. A lot of engagement is put there on that process. So what they studied was, out of the whole stress that is happening, 100% if you put it, about 20% of the stress is what we call work stress. Deadlines, or whatever things. 10% of the stress is what's called environmental stress. All these different things from our environment, from a strong light, from a strong sound, all these things are environmental stresses. But what they found is 60 to 70% of the stress basically comes from our lifestyle, from food. It is nutritional stress basically. So whatever we consume is making the system off its function. So abzanyaw ጫና የሚበዛው ከማጋባችን ነው. So one aspect of fasting is it creates a disconnection from this food time, or it makes the body have a space. እረፍት እንሰጠዋለን ማለት ነው. That's what we do when we sleep at night and come up in the morning. The system is recharged. The same thing we're doing at the fasting level, but it's multi-layer. It rejuvenates not just the body, but also the mind, the emotions, even the spirit, and at multi-level ማለት ነው. So one aspect is the stress response አችንን በጣም powerful ያደርገዋል. It responds in that manner. Another aspect at the mental level is, as I've said, willpower is one of the fundamental tools. So like muscles, willpower can be built. And so gym ገብቶ if you just lift weights, you're building muscles. And the same way willpower also is developing in that manner. If you strongly focus on something, doing it again and again, after a while it becomes autopilot. So willpower-አችን develop አድርጓል ማለት ነው። ወይም ደግሞ ራስን የመግራት ብቃታችን በዛው ልክ ይጨምራል። And what else is strongly pulling than food? If you call the internet or whatever addictions so we call around us, they may not be as strong as food. If you don't eat for a day, you can see you don't eat any other thing but food. So if you take time in between to practice bringing yourself off from that strong thing that keeps you there, you're creating a stronger willpower. So this allows you to even break other addictions. So there are many cases that people with fasting, they have broken addictions, not just cigarettes and stuff, but up to level of heroin, even cocaine, just by using concurrent fasting methodologies. So it can rewire the brain function. It can create a new neuronal pathway, especially for people who are interested in psychology. This is one of the powerful ways to re-energize as well as to recreate new neuronal pathways, new learning methodologies. Besides this, fasting boosts memory skills, it boosts creativity, and it boosts focus control. ወይም ደግሞ ፎከሳችንን መሰብሰብ ብቃታችንን በጣም boost ያደርጋል. So this is one aspect at the mental level. Still there are so many of them. If I have to go through them, as today is a one-on-one, let me just run through the emotional part. Emotionally, one aspect of fasting is it creates emotional stability. So one thing from my experience that I want to share is maybe on the recent doing the 72-hour water fasting, on the third day, I felt I was emotionally naked. Like emotionally, whatever around me was making me somehow emotional, triggering my emotions here and there. I was like, what? I used to be very like handled with my emotions, but now I'm fasting, so everything was around kind of picking me here and there. So what I studied and explored was food is used as a buffer. ብዙ ነገሮቻችንን አርሚ ነው, like ይሄ ጋሻ ነገር ነው. So a lot of things are happening around us is you using food as a buffer. That's why sometimes people when they are stressed, they run and want to eat a lot of maybe fast food and junk, and they feel at ease. Emotionally they get balanced because the food is like a buffer. ብዙ ጊዜ ምግብን ከኒውትሪሽኑ የበለጠ ብዙ ጊዜ emotionally people use it as a like dividing tool ወይም ደግሞ አካባቢያችን ካሉ አስጨናቂ ወይም ደግሞ ከሚይዙ ነገሮች መለያ. So if you take that fasting as a tool, it allows you to know your emotions in a real and strong, clear way. They come to the surface easily. You know what triggers your emotion. You know what makes you angry. You know what makes you alive. You know what makes you happy. Because everything is clear. It's like super clear. You have a binocular to see what is very far away at the emotional level. So it creates an emotional stability. It makes you feel emotionally open. It can also be strongly in creating connection with people. If you fast together with people, you know a lot about them, even staying with 1 year together with them. Maybe if you fast for a week together with them, you know a lot more than talking and communicating with them, because you're connecting at the deeper energy level when you fast. So that's one aspect. Maybe if you want to have a little stronger connection with a family member, with a boyfriend, girlfriend, or a significant other, try exploring fasting together. You really know a lot about each other. Also emotionally. The other aspect at the emotional level is sensation, but I'm heightened on it. So the senses will become very sharp. So you might end up finding yourself listening to a sound that is coming from very far. ብዙ ጊዜ ማንሰማውን ድምፅ መስማት እንጀምራለን, because things have become sharpened. ነገሮች በጣም ይሳላሉ. The way you smell things becomes so strong. Of course, food, different menus will come here and there somehow at the level of the emotion, but your senses at the level of even peculiarly sensing your environment become super sharp. And another aspect of this is it makes your mind super clear. So if you want to produce, it could be an artwork, it could be a music, it could be to write a literature work, it could be a poem. At this level, your mind is super clear. You can bring some thought, some idea to the paper very fast, because the road is very clearly a highway. So at the level of the mind, you create a very strong highway to bring any creative work on the ground. Let me go to maybe the spiritual part. So basically, before I step into the spiritual part, most of you come to Khul maybe can easily sense that when we speak of spirituality, we're not speaking of any religion at all. And fundamentally, spirituality and religion are two different topics. Spirituality is that part of us which is beyond physical. There is a body part, there is a software, and there is that part of us which is beyond the physical process. So accessing that process is basically what spirituality is at the basic definition. So we're basically referring that. Or we mostly use the word inspiration, right? You know what that very word is? Inspiration, Sandal? What is it? Insights. Okay. I want you to see the word a little closer. Inspiration is in spirit. So that's how the word came from. So when I'm inspired, I'm basically accessing a spiritual realm. I'm basically going beyond the body. When I'm writing a powerful song or a poem that I don't feel at the physical realm, I'm just feel inspired. Or when I do a big design, an awesome one, or when I find some insight, as Zilla said, those things are accessed from a realm which is a little beyond the physical. So there is a lot that we can access in the spiritual aspect while fasting. That's why almost all the religious traditions in the world use fasting as one of their tools in the spiritual practice. Because you transcend the body. You transcend the physical limitations and you kind of stretch yourself to higher realms. So you get an inspiration, and if you have that fasting specific, for example, for a prayer, fasting or any kind of religious fasting, you can sense, you can access more energies. Or if you're praying to your God, you can have the connection with God to become a little more broadband. So connection with broadband, because there are no much buffers in between. Because as we've said, food is not buffer only at the emotional level, but also at the spiritual level. Because as I've said earlier, at any given time, we are either in protection or growth. Yeah? So if we're engaging a lot of things, if you're doing a lot of digestion and all, there is a lot of work being done. So the energy that should be given to the mental aspect and the spiritual aspect is less. That's why when you eat a heavy meal around the lunchtime, you don't feel much to work and to create stuff, right? You just want to sleep there or watch stuff, because there is a lot of work happening in your belly, in your tummy. So there is a spare energy left. That's why when you fast, you see you have a lot of energy there that you can create, you can connect with, you can explore. Cool? So that's one aspect of the spiritual level. You can make your connection to higher level. One thing that I recommend on this aspect of the spiritual side is, if you add an element of service to this practice of fasting, the fasting benefit intensifies so big. So one example is, when you're fasting, there was a food that you're sparing, right? If you take that moment to give that lunch to someone who needs it, or if you pay the lunch that you're going to buy and buy lunch for someone else, you have created a deeper insight and deeper realization, and the experience becomes intensified. Deeper realization. So you can add a layer of service to this connection. So which is buffer alpha and hidden. So that there are a lot of things that we think separates us as human beings. Our race, culture, politics, ideologies and all, those things are buffers. They're like food for the mind. So the food that we consume is buffering us different ways. Even the food for the mind that we consume from childhood, they are also buffer. I know this, he doesn't know. I know this, she doesn't know. So this is a buffer. So when you go beyond that, the guy who's on the street, who is maybe sucking some benzene or mastiche, if I have a lot of mental process, I have a lot of things that I feel I'm different from that person. But when these differences are dissolving, when the buffer is away, I see that person is just like me, a brother, or even myself. Then that process intensifies that level of energy that you have at the deeper level. So I basically took you through the benefits of the whole, and the next part, we can make it in a question and answer. But before that, I just want to say a few things on the process, or on the how. So we want to fast. Okay, fasting is something good, but how to fast? I feel some of you share this question. Yeah? Good. So it's not much of a big philosophy, a big thing. It's just avoiding those things that you keep engaged on. If you create a space, basically you are in the fasting process. But if you do an extended fasting for food, for example, say 3 days and above, it's important to pay attention to the entry and exit of the process. What I mean by entry and exit is, time it's given even much importance. Because especially on the exit part, if you have fasted for 3 days and on the third day, if you go ahead and then have a full proper meal, that's a big shock for the system. It's like makina yeheda batam befitnat frame sees there is a shock, right? So you are in a state of high energy in your fasting. Now you're putting a big load in your stomach. The stomach shocks out. So that as well as the entry is important. So you have to go in a slow way. So in the mangar kasabna or the gulkulat minute kona, it should be like transition should be given a good importance, because that transition really makes a difference on how you are engaged in the fasting process. So if you are going to fast like starting today or maybe starting tomorrow, you should create a good environment before the fasting, not to consume a heavy food, heavy in a sense, fast food, for example, because fast food needs a lot of energy to burn and to digest. Junk food, fast food, mass energy, no. So we are borrowing energy from our fasting days. So energy, so we're not having much to sustain. The same thing with coffee. So you may avoid coffee few days before you start fasting, because coffee is doing the same thing. Why you energized when you drink coffee is the coffee that is in your system is taking energy packets. Energy definitely giving us energy. That's why after a while the energy kind of looms in. Or the same thing with drugs. When people are high with something that they have taken, be it strong drug or mild one, there is that high moment and there is that hangover moment. Because they have borrowed energy from what comes. Energy hangover, all the tolerance things that happen afterwards. In the same way, you should not finish the energy with consuming something that demands more energy to burn. And on the exit as well, you shouldn't just go ahead and eat a proper meal, but you have to take it very slow. You may start with the juice, you may start with the steamed vegetable, and things like that. Yeah, so that's one thing as a safety point. On the next one, we can just interact with question and answer. So I'm just running you fastly about the science and the practical aspect of fasting, but some of it will be nice if you have perspectives on the question aspect.
The entry into fasting, is also mental, your mental state of mind.
Very good.
So, like, I've never fasted before fully, like I always make drink water or something. What would you recommend? Because food gives you energy, okay? And we need energy to maintain our daily routine, okay, to do something. So if I want to fast and I want to go about my daily routine, what do you recommend as the energy?
Very good. That's nice. So one aspect maybe I also wanted to come through the questions is everything is best done in gradation. Meaning, don't go ahead and start 40 hours fasting tomorrow if you haven't done fasting before. So start with a half day fasting or a full day fasting. So you eat breakfast and then maybe go for late dinner, or maybe just go for dinner. So you have skipped one meal. And then see, with one meal skipping, how am I behaving physically, mentally, emotionally? And the next day, skip maybe 2 meals, maybe the next week when you practice. Then you keep going, go for the 24-hour fasting. And then you observe, how am I doing, how am I engaging? So you go for the 40 hours fasting. Then you can sleep slowly, gradually. So that is, you're creating the system to build muscle. The same way you go to the gym and then today you lifted 5 kg, tomorrow you don't go and lift 20 kgs, right? Because you haven't built that system yet. The same thing with the fasting. You have to build your system to approach the fasting. That's one aspect. On the energy aspect, this may be a little off section, but anyone have heard of people called breatharians? Breatharians, vegetarians? Vegetarians, fruitarians, breatharians. There are people who are called breatharians. It may be a little out there for some of you, a little bit of a science fiction, but there really are people who are called breatharians. By that what I mean is breathe is the main thing that they consume, and nothing at all. Still, the conventional science don't accept it. So there are different tools and technologies. Earlier, we're having a good discussion with Brooke about sleep and how the conventional science says you need to sleep 8 hours. And there are so many people, maybe especially inner explorers, who don't sleep maybe more than 2 hours. and sustain much more than the biggest CEOs in the world. A lot of work, a lot of engagement, because there are ways that can be explored. I mean, when you stick up the solar panel, where silicon and different things come in together in the roof, they can bring the sunlight and change it to electrical energy. This is something that's out there. That is created by us, created by a human being. And that thing is doing all these things, and why not the human mechanism directly get that sun energy to the food, even the breath energy to that direct energy. Still, the conventional energy doesn't accept it, but with the alternative science, even with different studies, it has been shown. There is even a TEDx by a breatharian who basically approached this breatharian tool as maybe the next powerful answer for our the war. If you have sensed it on the world, it comes with petrol, with resources, because we are short of resources, quote unquote. We never was, but our mentality is the one which is scarce. But if you explore and tap dimensions, there are resources that we can really tap within as well. So these breatharians, they don't consume food from outside, but basically what food means is it's energy, right? We basically eating food that came through the sun. So basically getting the sun energy through another way. So the sun comes on the plant, and maybe if we eat plant only, so you're getting the plant one way. If you eat an animal, the animal eats the plant. So basically you're eating the sun and coming it to bring it in another dimension. So if you know of MLM, multi-level marketing, so multi-level marketing started, Tianchi, GoldQuest, a lot of them out there now, cryptocurrency, so many. So what this multi-level marketing is, they basically take out the intermediary marketer somehow. So the direct producer and consumer meet in a way. So what Breatharians does is directly they are accessing the sun energy through them, but it needs technology. So if you go out there tomorrow and then I'm Breatharian, it may not work. You don't have the necessary tools and gadgets, as we said. So if you don't have a car and tomorrow I will go to the Brazil like in 45 minutes, it may not happen. You need the necessary technology. The same thing happens with the interior technologies. There are ways that can make you, that can allow you to change the breath energy into the direct sparky energy in a way. So I may not go deeper into that, but if anyone is interested, we can have an explorative session on that, as it can be explained through science really as well. So that's one aspect. So you can get energy. So maybe to bridge what I have said earlier from the breatharian to our conventional element, earlier what we did was at the start of the session, we took time to make the system calm down. So energy saving is one aspect of sustaining, or one aspect of growth. So earlier I was sharing with the friend, if you consider an automobile and then a racing car, which one do you think needs more fuel, and then which one do you think needs more maintenance or more garage? ቤት መኪናና የውድድር መኪናን ስናወዳደር የውድድር መኪናው the racing car needs more fuel, more garage, more maintenance, more spare parts. The same thing is happening here. If you're using this mechanism in so many crazy ways, you're basically needing more energy, more maintenance, more sleep, more food. All these things, food, sleep, they are maintenances. So if you know how to keep this mechanism easy as with a small efficiency or expenditure of energy as possible, the amount of energy you need is also minimal. So that's one aspect of it. So if you take the system at ease, so one aspect is if you just take your attention to the different parts of your body, with just putting your attention there, you're basically recharging your system, by the way. Our attention is one of the powerful recharging tools that we all have. We don't need an external cable wire to recharge our system. Because if you speak of plants, to let the plant grow well, the attention is enough. A gardener, what they does is they give a good soil, a good water, a good sunlight, and the plant flourishes. You don't need to go there and then pull the plant for it to grow. If you give it the necessary ambience, the necessary environment, it flourishes. That is what the internal technologies also are needed. If you create a good environment for it, the system has it all somehow. So the energy is there if you just pay attention. That's what one aspect of the benefits of meditation. So one aspect of, by the way, the breatharianism, what I've mentioned earlier, one of the practices that is done in the initiation process of that practice in becoming a breatharian is yoga and meditation. So using different tools and technologies to awaken the system to be able to tap into the energy that's out there. There is even technology. Nikola Tesla, I hope you know it all. So he have created a gadget, an external technology, which can take a free energy into direct energy. free energy የሚባል ነገር አለ. So there is energy out there. This is not vacuum. It has all sorts of things that are moving around there. That's why we communicate through phone, because there is energy, there is medium. So this medium also can be used in so many ways. Free energy ወደ electrical energy ሲቀይረው, it basically knew how to use the technology. But that is a gadget out there. But there is the most sophisticated technology or gadget that is human mechanism. More than any human creature or more than any human technology, we have this technology which is more powerful. If we know, or if you take time to explore a bit deeper. Good. We may add 1 or 2 questions. Do fasting. So one aspect is it depends on the goal that the person have. ምን አይነት goal ነው ያለኝ ለፋስቲንግ ስሰራ. So it can have so many different ways, but you can do a short 24-hour fasting once a week. So you may not do it more than once a week if it's 24 hours. If you do maybe 3 days, you may do it every 3 months or 6 months. So the intensity is correlated or proportional to the duration. So safi fasting የምናደርግ ከሆነ if I do 7 days, I may do it maybe once a year. So based on the intensity, I project the time. So based on what I want. So if it's weight loss, if I want to recharge my system, it's for health issues, different issues, for cancer, for blood pressure, different issues አሉ ለነሱ. There are different recommendation methodologies. So basically the reason that you fast for determines the type of fasting that you'll have. Yeah. Just asking. Yeah. Nice question. So water fasting is what basically is on the discussion. So on the water fasting, some people think when we say water fasting, it seems we are taking water away from the process. But actually it is taking only water. ውሃ ብቻ ነው የምንጠቀመው. So there was one picture that I shared on social media. There was a plate, and then there is like a knife and a fork. On the plate there is a glass of water. It's like that is the meal basically. So ውሃን ብቻ ነው consume የምናደርገው. Maybe thank you for that question. What kind of water also is something that you need to consider. For example, if you consume flavored water, it makes you hungry fast. So that burns a lot of energy. So it's always good to have a high quality water, maybe distilled water to consume, because if you're only consuming water, it should be of high quality. You can use both, but distilled water, even mineral water, is maybe something that you can consider. Yeah.
I would like to testify the advantage of fasting.
Great.
A few months ago, I tried it. Unlike the other times before, I was very disciplined and I only ate once a day.
Nice.
And also I was careful not to compensate when I was eating. Sometimes we skip the breakfast and we eat lunch when we eat lunch.
ድብና አድርገን እስከ ራት ድረስ. Yeah.
Our breakfast portion was
Exactly.
so I was careful on that. And I lost a lot of weight, and basically removed a lot of guilt from my food, made me feel less guilty regarding people who don't have as much as I have. I feel like I became more friendly, more patient. I started with a little focus. I feel like I became more friendly, and it was a very nice feeling.
Nice. Great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's inspiring. We're actually having a thought of creating a fasting circle here at Khul. People are interested to explore this technology, so I have different circles that most of you who come often here know. We have different groups practicing different technologies or tools that we mentioned earlier. So the next step is thinking of starting a fasting circle. So people who share this science, this practice of fasting, to come together, to fast together, to share insights, to share experiences as you did now. So that's one thing that we can also grow ourselves as we share insights and perspectives. Thank you. Great. Have I seen a hand around? Is she? Wonderful. It's a very nice question. You have a couple of questions inside it that I want to reflect on. One is about sleep, basically about the energy. So we have been eating in a pattern for years, be it 10, 20, 30 years. So there is a pattern created. So now we're trying to intercept the pattern. የተለመደውን የረጅም ዓመት አኗኗር ዘዬ break ለማድረግ ሞክረው. So one thing to keep in mind is not easy. Every time you break, earlier what we said is if you're driving with fast speed, if you press the brake, obviously there is some disturbance. So disturbance happens. So that's why you need to have that awareness to understand the science behind it. So energy-wise, so food basically gives us energy, but it also one that takes most of the energy, by the way. As I've said earlier, it's taking about, based on the food type, sometimes some foods take more than the energy that we need. So if you have a food that needs you 100% energy, but the digestion of it takes 120%. So you have actually lost some energy in the process. So that's also one thing to give you in mind. You can explore which food types are real source of energy, and which of the foods that I consume are not cutting the energy that I have. So that's another understanding. So you see it clearly. So life amagawachin mastual enjemrala. So most of the things that we do, it is in a pattern, on autopilot. So lots of people eat 3 times a day, but the body don't really need to have a 3 times a day meal. So this is one thing that maybe we are programmed socially even. There are people who eat once a day. There are people who eat maybe twice a day, or some people eating once in 2 days. So people are surviving. So last time in Khul Academy, we invited this lady from the UK, Sister Sisi. I don't know if there was anyone who attended her classes, of course from Khul team. And this lady, she's eating once a day. She's a vegetarian, and she's even eating a very small portion. But the energy that she have, my God, you don't believe. She comes here, she's teaching yoga. She was staying at around Garji. She don't have given the taxi. She wants to walk all the way, every day. And we go out, we dance together. She's the one who don't get tired. We're like down there. She's dancing the whole night. She have all the energy to create, to write, to talk. We're like, she's eating once a day, small proportion. So it's not about just the food that we consume when we speak of energy. It's also how we can handle that small portion of energy that we get, how we can spread it around the system. So what I feel sometimes is 1 feet in Alanar, so bone feet wasn't kadandet no. It's like how much of water is around there, it basically is pouring it out. But if you have a small spoon, you can take it. So the efficiency of this mechanism in using energy is the most important. So that's why we need to activate, to upgrade this technology. So ያለንን ትንሽዬ ኤነርጂ የመጠቀም ብቃታችንን ስንጨምር, you don't need to invest a lot of food in this system. Sometimes that food is keeping you away from your brain functions, your mental performance. It's even making you age fast. So ቶሎ የሚያረጁ ሰዎች basically ቶሎ የሚበሉ ሰዎች ናቸው somehow. People who don't eat as often age very slow. And ቅድም ያልኳችሁ, she is in her late 50s. She look like a 30-year-old. 30 ምናምን ነው because ቅድም እንዳልነው the racing car is aging fast, needs more maintenance. It ages fast. The same thing, if you put a lot of food and then burning, and then you're basically finishing the bolts. ብሎኖቹን digestion ላይ የጨረስናቸው ነው ብዙ በበዛን ቁጥር somehow. Good. On the sleep part, that really relates. The sleep that I was having while I was fasting was very different. I was not needing a lot of sleep somehow, because sleep is maintenance. Since I was stuffing my body with a lot of food, that's why I'm needing more maintenance. Now, I'm not stuffing my body, so sleep is not that much of an issue. So I sleep less, but clear sleep, and then fully recharging. Thank you. Maybe we'll share some articles on the Khul channel on Telegram. There are powerful articles that are there about fasting, the practice and the science behind. I will make sure that we will share that.